Welcome everybody. Well, thank you for tapping in. If you're just tapping in, please hit the like button. Also share, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It helps in the platform. For those of you that's already subscribed, thank you for your support, your kind words, words of encouragement, etc., etc. We outside with it, family. Today, we gonna do this one outside. We taking a walk. So if you ain't do nothing today, if you ain't get up and get a little exercising in, this might be the time to do it. Come on and take a walk with your boy, man. Let's go out here and let's get into some things, you know. We're gonna be good. We're gonna have a good time today. We on part 7 on my prison journey. We on part 7. We getting through this thing, right? What y'all think? Put it in the comment section. Well, we getting through this. We got a good one coming today. You know, this is the last day of the work week. So I figured, man, let's go ahead and just take a walk and enjoy this one right here. So we outside with it today. So now we on part 7. We left off in the last part where I got some mail, man. You know, they give the mail so late over there. I don't know why they do that, but they give the mail so late, 3 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, you ain't even got an opportunity to shoot a response right back because they give it to you so late. You got to wait till the following day to, you know, kind of gather your thoughts, pardon me, and put together a reply and then get it mailed out. You know, if the weekend is right there, then you talking about the mail not even going out. You know, it's just a whole bunch with that prison when it comes to mail. But nonetheless, I got the letter that I'm looking at. I took off my bed. It's from the federal courthouse in Philadelphia. So I get done, get myself together. I grabbed the letter, I opened it up. Man, oh man, oh man. May God have mercy on my soul. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, I opened it. People cutting grass out here, so you might hear a little bit of the machine. But we in our own world, we over here with it. So I opened the letter, family. I take the paper out. It's a little, you know, couple pages stapled together. I take it out. I opened it up. It's a federal indictment. United States of America versus myself. Charges is possession with intent to distribute heroin, distribution of heroin. So 841, that's the code in the federal system. 841 is distribution. And then it says possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. 922G, for those of you that don't know the federal statute for that in the feds. Then it also says a 924E, possession of a firearm by armed career criminal. I mean, look, you could just imagine, it took all the air out of me. All the air out of me. I had to sit down on my bed and say, man, what the hell just happened here? You know, mind you, family, you know, didn't my man tell me that I was good? As long as she go there and do exactly what is asked of her. So now how is it that I'm indicted? So I can't wait until, you know, the CO pop me out so I can go down there and holler at my man himself. So anyway, I go to my gate, the bars, I stick my mirror out there, you know, in there, you know, we got signs in there to let you know when the person is up. They'll kind of put their mirror on the gate, you know, it's bars. So you see the mirror on the gate, you know they up. So you kind of like shout out to them, yo, bro, what's up, you know, that type of stuff. So, you know, I look down there, I don't see his mirror on the bars. I'm like, damn, he not up. I'm anxious. I need some answers. Like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, about an hour later, the police popped me out. You know, after he get a breakfast, he popped me out. He let me come out and stretch my leg and stuff like that. Cause you know, this is like a 23-in-1 unit. But you know a lot of the police, so that, you know, they're gonna give me a little leeway, let me out. You know what I mean? Do my little thing and all that. It's another one of my mans that's dead too. He kind of, you know, he kind of got a little more leeway than me. You know what I'm saying? He fighting a murder at the time, but you know, nonetheless, the police just trying to keep him calm. So they gonna let him out just off of, look, let's just keep him calm so he don't start wilding out back here. So he let me out. I shoot straight down to my man's cell. He's asleep. I'm like, damn, you know, one of the things you don't want to do in prison, family, you know, you don't want to be waking a person up out of their sleep unless it's just a complete emergency. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's wartime or something like that, you know, or the CO looking for them. But to wake a person out they sleep is like, it can be interpreted as disrespect. Why? Because this is the only time that person can escape being in prison. Is being, you know, pretty much being in a dream state, not being here. So I'm like, man, but right now in my mind, this is an emergency. So I pace back a couple times and I'm like, yo, bro, you up? So then he turned. I'm like, I bet. He said, bro, you up? He's like, yeah, what's up, dog? I'm like, damn, bro, hold on. Let me go grab this stuff for you, man. So I go in there, I grab the mail I just got. And I'm like, look what I got in the mail, bro. So he looked and he like, damn, dog, man. What the hell? I'm like, man, that's the same thing I'm saying. He like, man, dog, she couldn't have did what you told her to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's no way, you know. So he breaking it down for me why, you know, if she had did what she was supposed to do, why they wouldn't be able to return indictment. He bring, you know, all that sounding good, but nonetheless, I have an indictment. So that's neither here nor there. I have an indictment. And now, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. I got to move forward. And I'm going to get into all of that, too, because I know y'all going to know, well, what did she say? No. Just relax. Pump your brakes. I don't want us to be jumping the gun and jumping out the window. But let's just take our time and be patient with it, because we don't want to throw anything on anybody that doesn't deserve that. You know, that's not going to be just. You know, I'm not into that, and neither should you. So, you know, we're going to let the series play out, and then we're going to discuss some of those things, you know what I mean? And, you know, documentations is there and all of that. So we're going to discuss that. But anyway, so I'm like, look, man, it is what it is. I obviously can't take this indictment back and mail it back to them and tell them, look, man, you know, you gave this to the wrong person. This is me. This is who they charging with this. He said, yeah, you're right. I said, all right, look, just lay it out to me. What's the play, man? Like, what I'm looking at, what I'm facing. So he, ironically enough, he's in the feds doing 21 years for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He also has the 924E statute too, which means the armed career criminal. What that means, let me break that down real quick. I'm not gonna make this a long video because I got some things to do. I gotta run out, and then I also gotta go to work. The 924E, the armed career criminal, right? What that means is that if you are charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, that's the only way that the feds can actually charge you with possession of fire. You have to have a prior felony conviction. you have to have had possession of that firearm, whether it's direct possession or constructive possession. And the third is that firearm at some point in time, it doesn't matter what day, what year, what month, at some point in time, that firearm affected interstate commerce. What does that mean? That means that at some point, that firearm crossed across state lines. They don't have to prove that I'm the one that crosses across state lines or somebody else did. It doesn't matter. I'm in possession of it, so I'm responsible, or I'm guilty of moving that firearm across state lines. What does that mean? Because I know it's a lot of legal terminology that you may not be able to understand clearly, but how do you affect interstate commerce with possession of a firearm? Okay. In the state of Pennsylvania, they do not manufacture firearms. Okay. So any firearm you get caught with in the state of Pennsylvania, automatically, and you're a convicted felon, automatically you're guilty of affecting interstate commerce because the firearm was never manufactured there. Okay. Let me give you another scenario. Ohio, there's several states that manufacture firearms. I believe it's Ohio, Connecticut. I can't remember all the states, but just off the top of my head, I'm just running through some of the ones that I'm familiar with. Let's just say I got caught with a firearm in the state of Connecticut, and that firearm was manufactured there. They will not be able to secure a conviction for me for, felon in possession of a firearm, because that's one of the qualifying offenses is that firearm had to affect interstate commerce. In that case, the firearm did not affect interstate commerce because the firearm was manufactured there and the firearm was possessed there. So, the feds is not going to pick the case up. That doesn't mean you're not going to get charged with the firearm, of course, but it'll just be a state offense. Big difference, and we're going to get into that in this series too. I want to just break down a lot of the legal things in the feds that I think a lot of tax-paying people don't know about, that should know about, to see, these harsh laws and penalties that's imposed upon individuals that's really an over-exaggeration, in terms of how much time you get. So anyway, let's get back to my man. I'm talking to him. I'm like, all right, look, what's the play, man? Because everything with me is moving forward. We here, this is what it is. Let's try to figure out what I'm going to do moving forward. So he said, all right, look, let me get myself together, brush my teeth and all that thing. Give me like 10, 15 minutes and come back. All right, bet. So I come back about 20 minutes later. Pull up, a little crate. I'm sitting there in front of his cell. We chopping it up. He like, look, all right, look. The drugs, how much drugs you think it is? I said, look, I'm not sure the exact amount because, like I said, they never sent me to court like they supposed to when it was a state case. So I really don't know the amount. I'm aware of the sales that they're talking about, but I don't know. I can't remember exactly how much it was. So I'm just going to be guessing. He's like, all right, don't worry about that because that's not as important of the firearm. He said, how many prior convictions you got? I'm like, all right, bet. I'm going over my head. He said, prior convictions, the ones that you got sentenced to more than a year. I said, okay, all right. I said, I got one a long time ago, man. I said it was like a youthful offender in New York. It was a robbery. He's like, how much time you got? I said, 1 to 3 years. He said, okay, that's one. I said, I got another drug conviction. He said, how much time you got for that? I said, 4 years. He said, that's another one. And remember, folks, the robbery that I told you about, where the guy went and robbed the dude, and basically the case before this case. I told him how much time I got. I said, I got 1 year, 1 to 2 years less a day. He said, that's another one. He said, that's 3 convictions. I said, okay. I said, what does that mean? He said, you're done. I said, what? I'm done? How you figure I'm done? Like, how you know that already? Like, you don't even know. He said, listen, you are charged. You see this right here? You are charged with the Armed Career Criminal Statute. What that means is that you have a mandatory minimum of 15 years, a maximum sentence of life in prison. What does that mean? That means that no matter what, the judge he can't give you under 15 years. He can give you the 15 and stop right there. He can give you more than the 15, but he can't go below the 15 years because the mandatory minimum is 15 years. Now, there's ways that, you can get under that 15 years, but, we soldiers, we're not doing that. So that's out the window. So I'm like, what if I plead guilty? Because I'm thinking on some state. What if I just plead guilty and say, you know what, man, let me get out the way. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, I tell you, I got one even better. Bring your whole family. Bring your grandmother, bring your mom, bring your whole family. Have them write letters to the judge. Bring, pastors or whoever you want to bring to speak on your behalf. You're not getting under 15 years. Now, he may just be kind enough and just give you the 15 years, but you're not getting below that. I said, well, look, I'm not taking that. He said, so I'm assuming you're going to fire. I said, yeah, they're going to have to kill me. I'm not taking that. So, I know that I have to transfer to another prison in Allentown, Pennsylvania, because Northampton County Prison does not have a contract with the feds to house federal inmates there. So I have to go to Lehigh County Prison in Allentown. So now the journey's about to begin. I have to prepare, man. I have to strap up, and things like that. Morning, how you doing, bro? Okay, yeah. I have to strap up and, load up. Load up means that I got to go over there, things illegal. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but you can kind of read between the lines. I got to go there loaded because I got to make sure that I can be able to take care of myself for a sufficient amount of time, because I know this is about to be a little journey that I'm going to be on, So anyway, let's say about 5 days later, they came and they got me. The marshals came and they picked me up and, shouted my man out, dapped him up, dapped my other man up, like, yo, I'm out, man, I gotta go. It is what it is. I gotta go deal with this. And, they take me over to Northampton County. Lehigh County Prison. And look, folks, I gotta be real, man. It's like I'm deflated. I'm deflated. I'm hurt. I'm sad. I'm like, my emotions is all over the place. I know I'm gonna be all right, but I really can't see it at the moment because I'm dealing with the unknown right now. There's a possibility that I can go away for a long time. Or maybe not, I don't know, but I'm dealing with the unknown, and that's, in prison, that's something hard to deal with because you lose a whole lot of power when you're in there. You can't just make a decision and then act on that decision. You can make a decision, but the authorities, the ones that's over you, the ones that's controlling you in there, they are the ones that's going to determine whether you can act on whatever plan or anything you come up with. You don't possess that power anymore like that. And that can be very challenging to any human being, whether it's male or female. That's, one of the toughest things to deal with in there. So we gonna save the rest of the story, the rest of the series for the next part. It's gonna be quite a few parts left for this, but we gonna leave it there. We on our journey to Lehigh County Prison, and we gonna save the next part of this series for the next part. So I thank you so much for tapping in. I thank each and every one of you that's supporting me, that's reaching out, you know, commending me for the work that I'm doing. You know, a lot of times I don't see it, I don't recognize, you know, the work that I do, but nonetheless, I'm appreciative of the compliments. You know, it means a whole lot to me. And with that, man, you know, please hit the like button, share. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And I'm gonna leave you as I always do. Remember, your potential for greatness is unlimited.